Yo guys, Visionist Jin here back with more Minecraft content. Today's episode number 12 will go into detail on the Bastion Remnants in the Nether and how to find one, all of the different types of remnants, ancient debris and netherite smithing templates, what to expect in a Bastion and how best to explore and loot them, as well as any tips that I've learned along the way from my own experience on what to bring with you in order to be prepared for a Bastion. So on that note, let's get right into it. So just as a general overview of a Bastion, these are the hardest structures in the game to explore in my opinion, which will challenge you and test both your skills and your patience. If this is the first time you have explored one, you are very likely to die unless you are a god or somehow you have acquired netherite and you are prepared, which technically you shouldn't be able to have netherite at this stage because this is the only place you can get the smithing template in the newer versions of the game since I last played. Bastion Remnants can be found in all of the nether biomes except for the basalt deltas, a very tough biome in my opinion, and I believe this is due to the clash in colours as they are very there's a real eerie and ashy sort of volcanic atmosphere to this biome which contains a lot darker colours and would be a lot difficult to find a Bastion in this biome. However, they can be found in all of the other four biomes such as the Nether Wastes, the Soul Sand Valleys, the Crimson and Warped Forests. There are various different types of mobs that spawn depending on what type of remnant you're in. You could have many different types, but mostly hoglins, piglin brutes, which are just dangerous and do not mess with them or underestimate them, ghasts and magma cubes, which can be found in the treasure room in a specific type of Bastion. Now, as for the different types of Bastions, there are four different types of remnants in the Nether. There is the Bridge, which consists of a large ruined rampart structure with a piglin face that is carved into it. It looks really cool, but inside the mouth consists of multiple different levels and walkways surrounded by lava, as well as a damaged bridge that goes out from the mouth with a support pillar on the other side. Definitely a difficult remnant to explore in my own opinion and maintain safety due to the unique layout and the lava falls inside the actual bridge section itself, but I'll provide some tips at the end that I've learned along the way to help you guys out. And then the second Bastion remnant is the Hoglin Stables. This consists of a three-part rampart with a damaged Hoglin Stables on either side. This one is definitely a chaotic experience if you've got sort of mine into either of the two sides. However, if you sort of stay in the middle and used a ranged weapon, you can quite easily and safely deal with all of the brutes in this actual biome itself or this remnant. So just make sure if you're going into this remnant, make sure that you have a ranged weapon, and that's just a general tip that I would provide. It's just to say that you don't want to necessarily get up close and personal with these piglin brutes. Do never underestimate them. They are seriously powerful. Even with netherite armor, you can get easily removed, especially if there are multiple attacking you, so just bear that in mind. The third remnant is the housing units. Now this consists of multiple ruined two-part ramparts arranged around a central courtyard with nether warts growing in the middle, so I'd say this one is relatively safer out of the four. And then the last one is the treasure room. Now the treasure room structure consists of a large rampart with a bridge going between it and the treasure room itself. The rampart contains several treasure chests and a handful of sort of gold blocks laying around, which is really useful, especially again if you're sort of in the middle game, because for the most part you're not really at the end game when you're exploring a Bastion because you're still trying to get netherite and so on. So gold is really useful, especially for the netherite aspect itself, which I'll go over at the end. And the treasure room consists of many bridges suspended above a lava floor. At the bottom of the treasure room is basically a magma cube monster spawner and a central loot area consisting of gold blocks as well as 1 to 2 treasure chests, which basically have some rare loot. And also you can get ghasts that may spawn in the treasure room depending on the actual biome you're in itself, which can create a more difficult experience for the most part for yourself, as if it wasn't already hard enough in this remnant. So just bear that in mind, and again, reminder for those ranged weapons to really help you out. Now there are additional chests that can also generate in the Bastion remnant as well, which may contain sort of generic loot, whereas the treasure room itself sort of contains treasure loot and guaranteed to provide at least one netherite smithing template in that treasure room. So just bear that in mind, because this is the only place you'll get a guaranteed smithing template for the netherite armor. The other three remnants do not have a guaranteed one, so if you are looking around and you find one of these and it's not the treasure room, you aren't guaranteed to find it. So just make sure you're aware of that, because I personally wasn't at first. I think I found a sort of housing unit Bastion for my first time in the world, and I didn't actually realize that you don't guarantee get one here. This was again me playing this for the first time in over 10 years, so I was not even aware technically of all of the smithing templates and the way it all worked. Although to this point I had already found other armor trims and other smithing templates around the world based in the overworld from doing other things such as maybe trial chambers or whatnot, but to this point I wasn't aware that you could only find them in that specific Bastion and it wasn't guaranteed in the other three. So just bear that in mind, because I wasn't. And again, if you guys need some help on armor trims or the way that smithing templates work in this game, I have actually made a separate video on the channel, which is episode 9 of this series, which went over all of the armor trims, how you find them, where you find them, and also what materials you'll need in order to duplicate them once you find them, because again, you don't really want to be going around all different types of Bastions to find that smithing template. You can actually duplicate it, which I'll go over very shortly, but that video is linked in the description below, so go check out if you guys need some help on armor trims in general. But for the most part, like I said, you don't really want to be sort of spending your time flying around looking at different Bastions, because it can be painful to obtain, especially without an elytra, as traversing the nether is already difficult enough. But to add that, you might have to find different multiple different types of Bastions in order order to acquire your first template can be quite painful. So just bear that in mind when you're trying to go venture out and you're early in your game and you haven't already gotten a elytra and so on. There is plenty of loot as well as rare items contained within a bastion, such as lodestones, crying obsidian, gold, iron, snout armor trim, which is a unique to a bastion and can only be found here, as well as enchanted gold weapons and armor, crossbows, and as well as other small things such as string, leather, arrows, and a few other items. But also you'll be able to find an abundance of blackstone everywhere, which is really useful for builds in the overworld, as it's a personal favorite of mine, especially the gilded blackstone, which is probably my #1 favorite block in the entire game. And you can also find various different types here, but also just be careful and remember you are in a hostile environment, so don't get carried away with mining resources and get crept on by a horde of brutes. That has happened to my friend before, and he just died and then he couldn't get back to his loot and he lost all of his stuff. That is a rookie mistake. That is something you do not do when you're in a bastion. You just have to remember that you are in a hostile environment and there are many different types of mobs around you, so just bear that in mind. So make sure you either clear out an area and make it safe before you start mining out these blocks. Now, as for the main reasons of finding and looting a bastion, this is to make netherite armor or tools or weapons. Now, as I've said, you can find the smithing template here, but in order to actually craft the tools, weapons, or armor, you will also need ancient debris, which can actually also be found in a bastion within chests or around the structure hidden itself. Obtaining 4 ancient debris and placing it into a furnace will then smelt it into 4 netherite scraps, which can be used alongside 4 gold ingots to make 1 netherite ingot, and this can be used to then basically craft netherite using sort of the smithing template and any piece of diamond, armor, weapons, or tools, and merge it with that template in a sort of smithing table, and that will allow you to craft a netherite piece of armor, tool, or weapon. Now, I have made a separate guide linked in the description below on how best to find ancient debris, how to duplicate the templates, etc. So if you're not sure because you're new to the game or a returning player like myself, go check that out. It should massively help you out. But basically, finally, in my experience, finding a bastion can be really tedious and frustrating, as traversing the Nether, especially without an elytra, as I said, can be extremely difficult and terrifying if you are new to this environment. But also exploring a bastion in general is really hard work, so make sure you take it slow and play disciplined, because this is key to your survival. Now, as just as a general tip, as I mentioned, make sure you bring fire resistance potions with you anytime you're in the Nether, especially in bastions, because there is lava everywhere. Also, make sure you bring a good ranged weapon such as a bow or a crossbow to deal with brutes, because hitting them from distance is far safer than trying to engage with them at close quarters. Trust me, do not underestimate them. They will deal a crazy amount of damage. I can promise you from my own experience, this is not something you want to do. I've literally seen my own friend be taken away within a blink of an eye right in front of me, and there was nothing I could do, and he literally just got deleted. It looked like he got hit twice, maybe 3 times, and he had near full netherite armor. So just bear that in mind if you're going to sort of approach a bastion and how you want to sort of go in and tackle those mobs. And then finally, make sure you have a good food source and make sure you are topping up your food frequently. You cannot afford to be moving around within a bastion with missing hearts. Every little helps, so make sure, even if you lose 1 bit of heart because you took full damage or whatnot and your food is only down 1, make sure you just eat something to recover full hearts, because you do not want to be walking around with any missing hearts. I can promise you now, it will really pay off by having your full health. And then in summary, that's pretty much it for the most part, guys. Hopefully this video has helped you learn something new about Bastion Remnants and netherite in general. And again, to remind you, this is the first time playing survival in over 10 years, so I'm sure there's plenty of tips and tricks or advice on how best to find and explore them that I maybe have not gone over in this video, that I'm sure I myself could benefit from, or any newer or returning players who may be watching this video for the first time. So feel free to let me know down below in the comments and I'll get right back to you. If you guys have enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe as always, and share any cool clips and experiences that you've had exploring bastions. I'm Visionist Gen. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.